And of course, before I delve into level 2, let's stick with Ozma's storyline just a little bit. And Ozma is obviously brought back. The god of light comes back and like pretty much tells Ozma, oh, by the way, when she goes to all the different kingdoms and tries to tell individuals to turn against them, that thought made me think of freaking Sauron the Deceiver. Have you guys, if you guys have read the Silmarillion? I didn't read the Silmarillion, by the way. I read like Cliff Notes versions of the Silmarillion because I just didn't have time to read it. But it is so much like Sauron the Deceiver. It is so much like Sauron the Deceiver, man. Sauron literally deceived all the people of Middle Earth to building these rings, and he secretly made the one ring of power. And Salem literally did that. Salem basically said that, she said that she stole immortality from the gods. You know what I'm saying? Bull to the freaking shit, but they don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So she stole immortality. She probably took weapons and told soldiers, hey, cut me down, come at me, bro, but look at this. I stole immortality from the gods. They wouldn't give that shit out willingly. And Jin has this amazing cinematic, like 3D, like camera pinpointing view of like Jin recreating the palace of each individual kingdom, of each individual king and queen's palace, and then pretty much luring them into this false narrative of, we have to go up against the gods. There is no other option. There is no other choice. There's nothing better than what I'm telling you right now. She literally coerces three different kingdoms of armies into fighting with her. But mind you, these three kingdoms, these three armies aren't the only humans in this world. But because of their actions, all of humanity gets, zapped away. And I think this plays into like Mute Parasol mentioned. Did you notice any of the traditional / 2D animation? Yeah, I actually did. And that's when, freaking the God of Destruction is like, takes up all their magic powers and is like, my own gift to them used against me. My own gift to them. So it was magic gifted, if life was gifted by the God of Light, maybe magic is the God of Destruction's own power, because they both wield magic, but I'm guessing this magic, the magic of attack and like, that's something that the God of Destruction specifically gave them, is like my own power used against me. Bitch, boom! Watch this shit. It's like, you guys think you can use your own, my gift to you against me? Shit. You want to see how I really use magic? Boom, son, boom. I just love that moment. As horrifying, as haunting as that, the vocals were at that moment, and the music was like, oh, and then that incredible purple laser beam that sort of spread across the entire world and pretty much eliminated all the different, you get to see two-dimensional images of different races, not just the ones representing the three nations that were attacking the gods, but other nations too. So pretty much all of humanity had to suffer the consequences of these three nations, and ultimately Salem's own arrogance and selfishness, because Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that Salem, after gaining immortality, pretty much tries to stab herself. And the Jinn mentioned that initially she stabbed herself to die and join her beloved Ozma in the afterlife. But when she realized she couldn't do that, she kept on trying to commit suicide to spite the gods. But then she decided that no, the gods were ultimately fallible, and pretty much decided to turn everybody into them. And this will play into what I talk about Salem in a little bit, bro. Hope you guys are sticking around with me. I know I'm talking a lot, but hope at least some of this is somewhat entertaining to listen to. I really hope so. Salem gets told off. That incredible silhouette against the moon happens, man. It's like, who the hell summoned all you guys here against me? And then that beautiful piano music in the background, and Salem just walks in, and they're like, you. It's like, it seems like you've learned nothing, bitch. Watch this, zoom. And then, the God of Light tells him, after everybody turns into like infinity dust or whatnot, everybody turns into dust. Okay. And literally, the God of Light tells him, is like, we hope this world was a beautiful experiment, but now it'll only be a remnant of what it once was. Even more so now that we will no longer be part of this world. We hope we will learn from our mistakes. We hope that you will as well. The God of Light, decreases his opacity and like zooms away, and and then he's like, no, come back. Salem's like, no, come back, you can't leave. And every single time she talks, it's a command. It's not a request, it's a command, And so like God of Destruction has that beautiful quote about, still demanding things of your creators. Zoom out, and we see that beautiful panning shot of the moon shattering. The moon shattering, this is the best version. Maybe I'm just very nearsighted, and I didn't know exactly how the moon would be shattered. My initial assumption of the moon shattering was maybe the moon is another world. Maybe like there was some sort of cataclysmic event from the stars that sort of broke through the world. Maybe the moon is like another piece of the world broken up. Maybe there's other individuals that exist on the moon, or maybe the moon is the new world. Maybe the earth is the old world. But this is far better. This is far better. And you know why? Is because the moon is a constant reminder that this world really is a remnant. The moon is literally the silhouette of the god of destruction, a literal reminder to this world that the gods have left. That's what the moon is. It's a literal reminder that this world is quite literally godless, as Salem mentions in the episode later on. And eons pass, of course. Salem is left. Every time Salem comes back, there's this like sort of golden glowy light, which is literally the god of light's power. And as she walks through, pretty much the wastelands of Remnant, she curses everything but herself. Like, come on, like she still hasn't learned anything. She curses everything. I bet you anything, she even curses Ozma for leading her down this path. But she never curses herself. And that's why Salem, and now I'm getting to level 2 stuff, will always be the girl locked away in the tower. So one concept that I really wanted to delve into is that she never changes her initial persona. Throughout this even now, she will always be the girl locked away in the tower, because Salem has this constant desire from freedom, from her initial cage. She will always be like, because at first it was a cage created by her father, and then she gets a taste of freedom through Ozma, right? But then she loses Ozma to Death, and now Death has become her new cage, and her new father, her parental father, preventing her from getting what she wants, are the gods. The god of light and the god of destruction. The cage itself is the break between life and death, and the parental figure has turned from, her father to the god of light and god of destruction, and the cage has turned from her home, from the castle, to this concept of life and death. That's kind of what I'm thinking, and so that's her. And after the events that transpire, after she, tries to manipulate the gods here and there, becoming this sort of title of grand manipulator, she pretty much tries to, thwart the tyranny of the gods. She tries to break out of the tyranny of the gods, sort of quote unquote, cage, which she eventually does. She beats Death. She doesn't get Ozma back. Well, she does get Ozma back. Actually, yes, she does get Ozma back. So she beats that cage. She gets out of, she acquires a new freedom, she gains immortality, she conquers death, and she also conquers the tyranny of the gods in one respect, but she's still not satisfied because all of humanity is wiped out. But she does get what she wants, and as the gods leave, she gets a godless world. She wanted the gods' tyranny to end, and it did. She got what she wanted. She got that freedom once again. It's like she left the castle once again. She left the shadow of her father once more. You know what I'm saying? She also got the return of her beloved, so to speak, right? But then she wanted even more freedom. She wanted to be the god of this new world. You know what I'm saying? So she wanted even more freedom, the freedom to control everything, basically. She wants to be like the grand controller of the universe. Not the universe, but the world itself. I don't know if her ambitions go as far as the universe, but at least to this world. And now that she has someone else who can do magic, she is ultimately able to do that. She has her husband back. She has her Ozma back in a different body, but it's still Ozma. It's this constant battle of her never being satisfied, because as the god of light states, she is very arrogant and she's very selfish. Like, is Salem the one creating her own cages? Like, why was she placed in the castle in the first place? Like, going back to what I said initially, does her father think so negatively of her to create this cage? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, maybe it was her fault that she was locked away in the first place. Maybe she created her own cage. You know what I'm saying? And later on, when she gains her freedom, she creates her own cage again, because she literally turns the world against the gods. And if she never did that, she would have never built this cage of loneliness for herself in the old world and had to wait millennia for another human to show up again. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, she further builds her own cage by going into the dominion of darkness. She thinks that because the pool of life gave her immortality, the pool of darkness can give her, give her death, finally, give her that rest that she needs, meanwhile not cursing anything but cursing everything but herself. But there's this interesting imagery. When she looks at the pool, she sees the reflection of the moon there. She sees the reflection of the moon, but it's shattered. It's a shattered moon, not the full moon. So it's like her image of what she wants is completely shattered. The ultimate goal that she wants is not what she's gonna get. The freedom that she desires for death, from life, is not what she's gonna get. She's gonna get a shattered version of it. And what emerges from the pool after she gets like completely, corrupted by the malice and darkness there is a very dark, evil, and corrupted individual, like an immortal being with the desire to destroy all life, basically a human grim hybrid, so to speak, who became desiring the powers of a god, basically. And I think that's just beautiful, man. I think that's just amazing storytelling. I absolutely freaking love it. I absolutely love it, man. It's just the imagery of the moon, the blackened pools of annihilation, the pool of life. I wonder if we'll see, we've definitely seen the pool of darkness. We've definitely seen the location where the god of destruction was initially. I wonder when we'll see the domain of light again. I wonder if it still exists, or if like humanity has sort of built over it or whatnot, or is the Mistral, the academy, literally built over nah, probably not, Who knows? It's some cool stuff to think about. But I'm curious what you guys think. You guys can leave down in the comments down below. But I think that the God of Light realizes his brother's mistake, but he didn't stop his brother. He let his brother do the infinity zoom, or the infinity clench, as I want to call it from now on, is like to wipe out humanity. He didn't do it because the God of Light at the same time acknowledged that, dealing with humanity in this way was a mistake, and they needed to start off on a clean slate and let humanity just develop on its own before trying to tackle it again. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where they left off to, but they probably went to another world and tried to experiment, do some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? But he brought Ozma back because the God of Light still wants to give humanity a chance, and he says that I'm going to give you an opportunity to go back and be with your beloved, which Ozma doesn't hesitate to say yes to. He initially, because he thought Salem had passed away, but the God of Light says something interesting, if you guys remember. It's like, your world has befallen a tragedy at the hands of my brother, but you're kind of culpable too, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't stop him either. So the God of Light definitely bore a little bit of resentment against humanity for challenging him in his own domain, nonetheless. So that was very much an interesting thing. But he does give them hope in the form of the 4 relics, and we get the 4 relics music from Volume 4. We get that awesome relic showing up, and I'm gonna get into some level 3 theorizing over here, and I'm gonna tell you that I think the moment we see, creation, destruction, choice, and knowledge, or I forgot which order he says it, but I think the most important relic, I wrote down somewhere over here. I literally think the most important relic going forward is ultimately gonna be choice. I think it's gonna be choice. I think, if anything, if we go down the line of trying to find which relic, trying to find different relics. Like, the first relic we've seen is knowledge. I don't know which one we'll find in Atlas, if it's actually in Atlas, but I think the last one we're gonna meet or see is gonna be choice. Because if you recall back to Crow's story, he talked about not only with this final, like when they talked about creating a final creature like the God of Light and God of Destruction, they talked about like how this final creature would not only manifest ideas of creation and destruction, but it would have the choice to choose between each. So I feel like the choice is the most ultimate relic, is the most important relic in the story, and I wonder what its power is. I'm very curious to see what, because creation and destruction, it seems pretty obvious. One creates, one destroys. Knowledge just gives you knowledge, but I'm curious to see what power the relic of choice possesses, you know, because I feel like that might be the most important relic that might come into play as we go towards the end of this series. I think so. But you know, the relics are pretty much kind of like the commandments in this world. You know, he tells Ozma, is like, you know, when I'm giving these tools to you so that, you know, you can bring humanity together and prevent conflict in the future. And if you're able to prevent ultimate conflict, if people are able to be less arrogant, be less selfish, and be able to work together, then we will come back and be amongst you once more. But if you still fight amongst yourselves and, you know, continue to go down this path of darkness and tyranny and evil, then we will ultimately annihilate you guys. That's the ultimate, you know, that's like, that is God level, that is deity level mandate right there. And it just makes me like these, you know, depictions of deities that much more, because that's exactly how deities are in, like, you know, normal philosophies and mythologies out there. You know what I'm saying? They're not humans. They don't work by human standards. They create these. They don't, more often than not, they don't ask you to do reasonable goals, you know? They ask you for like very unreasonable, unattainable goals that you have to work your butt off through multiple lifetimes to be able to do, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I think they got right in this series, and I feel like it's very adamant in what do you call, the God of Light tells Ozma at the end. And so Ozma goes back in life, and one thing I really enjoyed about that first scene of Ozma being reincarnated is that the moment he comes back, you know how I told you that Salem will always be the girl locked away in the tower, and she's always creating her own cage, and she's always creating her next challenge for herself. You know, she's always creating, you know, the cage to control herself. You know, she basically creating her own obstacles. I'm not saying that correctly, but you get what I mean. Ozma, or Ozpin, on the other hand, is his primordial persona is the righteous hero, is the good person, is the morally, vulnerable individual. Ozpin is very vulnerable now that I think about it, but it hasn't changed the fact that he is still Ozma. He is still that original righteous, selfless, you know, hero, which is the complete opposite of Salem. And I love that about him, because the moment he comes back, how do you know this is right? Is because the moment he comes back, what's the first thing he does? The first thing he does is save another human being from Grimm. He remembers his sword-wielding capabilities and he saves him. That's how you know Ozpin's a good guy. If you have any doubts of Ozpin being a good guy, you see his innate response. The moment he comes back, that's what he does. I think that's why. So, like, you know, you can have your misgivings about Ozpin. Obviously, you know, like, you know, a lot of the stuff that he does, even I don't agree with, but you can't deny that he is still a hero, a very vulnerable and misguided hero often, but he's still a hero nonetheless. He's the good character. I think. Just my opinion. I am okay. So let's talk about the new world a little bit before I dive into my level 3. This is level 2 stuff. The new world has dust. It has faunus. Now, where does the dust come from, I wonder? Now, we literally saw humanity being wiped away into dust. Yeah? Now we see Salem and Ozma come back, and they can wield magic, right? So magic persists. If living individuals exist who wielded magic previously, some remnant of magic still exists. So I think if man arose from dust. I know some of you guys have mentioned in the comments that, you know, man arose from dust, but don't take that quite literally. Some of you guys mentioned that in the comments when I first, you know, was discussing it in some of the World of Remnant videos initially. But now that I see that humanity is literally dusted away, what if remnants of the magic in that dust lingered on, but because the gods have left, it's not the same magic that it was initially, and it transformed into like mineral particulates, which ultimately became dust. You know, that's why dust resembles magic in many ways. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But that's the mindset I had initially. You know what I'm saying? And in similarly, like the remnants of the gods leaving is what led to the creation of the faunus. You know, because the gods still had a mystical presence in this world, and that's why when they left, excuse me, humanity was able to evolve in much different ways, and the fact that humans can, evolve in this sort of faunus-like way is, a callback to what the power of the gods that had initially. It was both like a sort of animalistic and human combined together, this sort of perfect being in a way, you know what I'm saying? So it's just sad that the faunus were treated as animals, which, goes in to talk about the inequality of humanity that Ozma inevitably has to correct if he wants to summon the gods back. You can't have this sort of humans against faunus, because everybody's, human. It's not just humans versus faunus, it has to be humans and faunus, which, the current storyline is sort of working towards. But one funny thing that I realized is that, the God of Light states that, we want humanity to be united into unified form. Salem was ironically trying to do that. Salem was trying to unify humanity just against the gods, you know what I'm saying? So it's funny how, like, the Rooster Teeth has thrown in this, like, this irony to what the gods are, promoting versus what they're actually doing. I love that little tidbit of, irony thrown in there. Yeah, the old world was so crazy and mystical, and this new world looks so very dark and ominous and deteriorating. This is such a remnant of the grandiosity that was present originally. And I think that Salem sees this new world as being this sort of trash world, just the leftovers of this, the original stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like Salem can talk to any individuals like, back in my day, we had the good shit. You guys have the lame shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's very funny to me in that regard. We see the love story rekindle. It's like Jin was talking about, call it, intuition, or call it something else. The moment they saw each other once again, they knew who the other person was, and they started loving each other once again. And the cabin in the woods reminded me of the old World of Remnant, the Maiden's Cabin in the Woods story. So maybe this is where the story was built upon. It's crazy how the cabin looked so like destroyed and shattered, and Salem was just living all by herself. But the moment Ozma comes, he pretty much fixes it. It's this continuous theme of like how Salem sort of is kind of like the new god of destruction. Ozpin is the new god of creation, kind of like that, the new god, so to speak. And she convinces Ozma to sort of join her to developing this new world. But each of them hide like certain aspects of the story from each other for their own individual purposes, because Ozma isn't sure where the truth lies. Salem is manipulative, as she always is, because the hearts of men are easily swayed. She sways the heart of her man and pretty much into becoming the next rulers of the world, so to speak. Yeah. So I think that's just beautiful storytelling, beautiful, incredible. And they said that once they build a following, they have a family. They have a freaking family, which is adorable. But 4 daughters, that can do magic, that freaking mind blown. I'm like freaking Ozma again. Who am I? What am I? Where am I?
Where am I? What is this? Where am I?
You know what I'm saying? And can I just say that the fact that they have magic, these 4 girls, they have to be the 4 maidens, right? I don't see any other explanation. They can wield magic. However, it's just so sad what happens to them. Before anything, can I just say that this gives light to another thought I've had, is that why does Ozpin in Beacon Academy show favoritism to certain teams of 4? Is it possible that the favoritism that he shows to certain teams are teams that resemble his own children? You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the girls, and I thought about this. So I thought about this quite a bit in my that night I was watching Volume 6, Chapter 3, and I thought about that. Look at the 4 girls. One of them is reading on the corner, kind of like Blake. One of them, the youngest one, wearing the green, has a little toy dog, kind of like Zwei, kind of looking like Zwei, and she's the youngest one, kind of like Rwby. And the other 2, one looks very much like a princess, like Weiss, and one is like, kind of rowdy and like chasing the other one around, kind of like Yang. Do they resemble Team Rwby a bit? Is that why Ozpin shows a little bit of favoritism to them? Mind blown, bruh, mind blown. I think it resembles them to a certain respect. I'm not saying it's anything significant going forward. I'm not saying Team Rwby are gonna wield the maiden powers, but I'm also not saying that either. But anyways, yeah. You know, so it's a very interesting concept that sort of played into my mind the moment I saw those 4 little girls, and they're just so cute and adorable, man. So cutie pies, man. Some cutie pies. I freaking love them, but it literally broke my heart. Like every time I watch the episode again, it breaks my heart to see what actually happens to those kids. You know what I mean? Like. And that plays into the concept of dust, and I'll tell you why it is. Because it's awesome, like after revealing the truth to Salem about like, you know, what his mission is on this earth, Ozpin literally tries to take the girls away, and then mommy has a huge temper tantrum, and pretty much their battle leads to the, I'm assuming, the death of the 4 daughters. Because you see the little toy Zwei, I'm gonna call it toy Zwei, like just lingering there in the aftermath of the crashed palace, you know, the remnants of the palace of the battle. And it's just insane. You literally fought each other to the point where you destroyed your own daughters? Bruh, that is one thing I cannot forgive Ozma for, man. That's just one thing I can't forgive them for. Salem's already hopeless, but I would assume, my benefit of the doubt, I think Ozma was perhaps trying to protect the daughters at some point, but she couldn't because Salem is just too powerful in that regard. But man, oh man, I just don't know, man. My heart broke when I saw that scene. Out of all the scenes, that got me like the most emotional. The first time I was watching it, I was just awestruck at everything that was happening, but the second time I could feel the emotions a little bit more, and it just hurt me to see that happen. But going back to the thing about dust, like, you know how dust is like this the sort of remnant of the old world's magic. Since these little girls had magic, magic must defeat magic. Magic leaves from one body to another body. Magic never is eliminated from the world. Yeah, the gods can eliminate magic, but once magic exists in this world, you know, without the gods, I think it can assume any persona. You know, since the girls are gone, their spirits mixed in with the magic can go on to the new maidens. I think that's what's happening. Their magic lives on, their spirits live on, and you know, Salem and Ozpin both want the maidens, not just for the power and for the relics, but also because as long as the magic lives on in other maidens, their daughters will still ultimately live on as well. You know what I'm saying? And it's very sad if you think about that. You know, it's just 2 parents who had this incredible rivalry and incredible, you know, ultimate form of domestic violence, which led to the death of their children. And now it's like, you know, there's this moment in volume 4 where Salem is trying to teach Cinder to harness the power, to harness the magic, because, you know, the current modern day humans aren't able to fathom magic the way older humans could have. But it's kind of like, that's why she shows a certain amount of favoritism to Salem, and to Salem shows a little bit of favoritism to Cinder, because it's like teaching her own daughter. Her own daughter lives through Cinder a little bit, I think. Yeah, which daughter, I wonder it is. Is it like the blue one or the green one or the orange one or the pink one? I don't know, man. But yeah, what do you guys think? You guys can leave down in the comments below. I'm sure you guys are typing away massive essays over there, and I can't wait to read them. But yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought about the relics, and that's what I thought about the maidens. So those are my ideas, and I'm sure other people have described this in much grander detail, in much better format. I'm just, you know, mouthing off random shit. Let's see if there's anything else I forgot to mention. Oh yeah, like I said, the World of Remnant videos, you know, most important final relic being the relic of choice. I don't exactly know. Maybe after future episodes, I'll figure out a more confined theory about how the relic of choice will come into play later on, but for now, from this episode, I think that's what it is. Okay, that's all my level 1 and level 2 ideas. One more level 2 idea. You ready for this? Ozpin's second voice. What is Ozpin's second voice, you might ask? Ozpin's second voice is Ozma's voice fueled over to his second self, right? The moment Salem sees that her children can conjure magic, right? And then Ozma has a sort of not so sure what's happening sort of face. He's unsure of everything that's going on. But Salem, the moment she sees that she learns about Ozpin's role and summoning the gods back, and then also sees her children wielding magic, she comes to the realization that screw this world, we can do whatever the freak we want with our children. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in thinking this, but this is just my theory. I think Salem literally wants to screw up this realm of humanity. She just let them conflict with one another. We take the whoever wins will reign over them, but ultimately we can repopulate this world with our own children. We're immortal, yo. We can exist for as long as we want to, delegate over them, to rule over them. Ultimately, our children will repopulate the world and they will all wield magic. We can literally recreate the golden age of magic wielding humanity. They want to repopulate the universe repopulate the world with their own children and make this world their own. It's kind of like Salem going back to making another cage for herself to try and open it up, basically. She already became the deity of this world, so to speak. This grand messiah, the new god of destruction in this new world. But now she wants even more, and so she was creating another cage for herself. How does she do it? By creating this conflict with her husband, by destroying her own children. You know what I'm saying? It's insane, man. The layers of storytelling that you could delve into. And going back to Ozpin's second voice, I'm going off on a tangent once more, is that the moment she proposes this idea to Ozma, or Ozpin, second Ozpin 2.0, has this moment where he looks in the mirror and he turns around and says, like, what are we doing? But he says, what are we doing, in Ozpin's voice. So what does that mean? And I kept thinking, like, what is this alternative persona? And I have two theories, of course. Maybe Ozpin voice, the Ozpin voice, the one that we're all familiar with, the narrator from Volume 1, maybe that is just the avatar spirit, quote unquote avatar spirit, or the accumulative spirit of Ozma. Maybe it's a different voice. Maybe, I don't know. I'm losing my voice. You guys can tell. It's Ozpin's or Ozma's righteous spirit or heroic entity trying to tell his current persona, the persona that has melded into his the current human being. Like Ozpin affects his new reincarnated body's soul. That soul impacts Ozpin. It's like Oscar impacting Ozpin and Ozpin impacting Oscar. But that original OG Ozpin voice that from the Volume 1 narration is the voice that's continuously reminding him of what your initial goal is. And my second theory for that was that maybe that voice isn't Ozma at all. Maybe it is a remnant of the God of Light. Maybe the God of Light put a little bit of his light, of his persona in to him, a little bit of himself into what he called Ozma. And that voice is a little bit of Ozma plus God of Light. Maybe, I don't know, because that would mean Ozma is a little bit of God of Light. Since, Salem went into the blackened pools of annihilation, she has a little bit of the God of Destruction's power with her. And it's curious because the God of Destruction was the last thing that Salem saw before he pretty much exited. Maybe that has a little bit of significance to play as well. I don't know. These are just random theories I'm throwing out over there. And of course, Ozpin ends the story by, going through multiple lifetimes, and you see him like being a drunkard at one point, being in pain being an old man at one point, like the maiden fairy tales and whatnot. And ultimately, he comes back to his righteous self, his mission, even though he can always feel his ex-wife's presence all the time. He still gets back to that mission, and he acquires the relic of knowledge, to ascertain where are the other relics, what are they capable of, and how do I stop Salem. But his question is very specific. It's like, how do I stop Salem? And Jin's like, you can't. He says very specifically, you can't stop Salem. And why is that? Because the only way to stop Salem is as as the God of Light mentioned, or as they both mentioned, that you will walk this earth forever until you understand the meaning of life and death. And that is my end game. That's my level 3 theory, is that the only way to stop Salem is to convince her that life and death are part of a delicate balance. The only way to end Salem is when she comes to the realization, is to turn Salem good. You know, basically you have to turn Salem good. That's the only way you can destroy her or defeat her, basically, is to, her immortality will go away when she realizes the meaning of life and death. When she realizes that she is selfish, when she comes to, comes to realization of her own arrogance, when she admits her falsities, that's when, the God of Light's power and the God of Destruction's power will be eliminated from her. You know what would be crazy though? Because the God of Light and God of Destruction didn't anticipate her falling into the blackened pools of annihilation. What would be funny is that if maybe, since Salem has a little bit of destruction and light within her, immortality from God of Light, destructive capabilities from God of Destruction, what if, like, she comes to that acknowledgement of that she was wrong, and when she does that, her immortality goes away, and then what's left? Just pure black and evil? What if, like, that's the final boss? It's like, oh crap, we saved Salem, but now Salem is transformed into this crazy, dark, evil monster that we have to defeat, the final boss in any RPG. But that's me going into some crazy shit. So that's how you gotta beat Salem. The only way you can beat Salem is get Salem to beat herself, because that's all she's been doing this whole freaking time, building her own cages, building her own concept of freedom, building her own cages to cage her concept of freedom. You know what I'm saying? And that gives me the idea of, that goes into my other theory of John Boy, and how he will ultimately be the key to everything. I don't know. John was introduced into season 1, volume 1 of this episode. He was one of the first non-shadow characters introduced into the series of Rwby. But how will John play into all this? I gotta think about it a little bit more. I'm gonna make a new theory video just for John, because this video has gone long enough, But the little bit of concept is that why I think John is gonna be so important, and what I'll talk about in the other discussion video that I make after this, just to give you guys something to think about. And maybe you guys have already thought about this, and maybe other people have already talked about this. I don't know, but this is just my idea. John has experienced loss. John is kind of like Salem, the original Salem, where, he's lost someone that he loved, lost someone that he cared about, Pyrrha, basically. And his journey throughout all this series is about coming to terms with that loss, growing himself from that loss, understanding the balance of life and death. So I feel like John is going to play such an important role in being able to convert Salem, telling Salem that life is this delicate balance. And maybe John will even be given a choice later on, the choice relic to bring Pyrrha back, but I think he will ultimately choose to not bring Pyrrha back. And from that selfless choice, Salem will have to ultimately learn something. Maybe she will learn something from John. I don't know. This is just something I'm just randomly thinking about. I'll have to construct this theory a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm out of juice right now. I can't talk anymore. I've talked well over an hour of Rwby stuff, but yeah. This episode deserved it, man. This episode deserved it. Some of you guys mentioned about, the gods, like, Synapse mentioned. There are two big, the gods are as Abrahamic gods. They are truly above their creations. To them, such tragedies as killed literally everyone but you is a lamentable event rather than a heinous crime. Much like how we do the same to animals. Yeah, I mean, they are immortal. They are immortal, but that's to us. There's a lot of parallels to that. Obviously, I agree with you, Synapse. Effortless Fury says that the God of Light to be slightly manipulative of his brother. Understandably, to some degree, it's like reining in your destructive little brother. They don't listen to you, and you think subconsciously nudging them is the right thing to do. God of Light is a bit of a hypocrite in breaking the cycle of life and death to bring Ozpin back. 100% agree. There's a little bit of hypocrisy there, obviously, and also a huge debate amongst the community was how to feel about Ozpin, how to treat him. Some people hate Ozpin for it, and I don't blame them. You guys, that's the beauty of this series. You can interpret it in whatever way you want, and this is just my interpretation. But the thing is, even if we think like opposites of the spectrum, the crazy thing about it is I can still relate to people on the opposite of the spectrum. I like Ozpin. I think the God of Light and God of Destruction in the context of the story are so cool. But I can also see, you know, the other side of the spectrum arguing negatively against them too. So that's the beauty of this episode. I freaking love it. I freaking love it. I'm still thinking back to like that Ozma scene where like, who am I? What am I? Where am I?
Where am I? What is this? Where am I?
This is my favorite episode of Rwby thus far, which I think many of you guys will agree with. That this is your favorite episode as well. So I'm out of like air in my lungs right now, so I'm gonna stop talking. What did you guys think? Leave your comments down below. I have no doubt that the comment section in the down below in my chapter 3 reaction as well as discussion will accumulate to well over hundreds and hundreds of comments, so I can't wait to read all of them. I will be going into more Rwby videos. I'll be reacting to Rwby AMVs and memes and Rwby Chibi, starting Rwby Chibi season 3 after this, so I'm super excited to check some of that out, and also delving into Rwby volume 6 chapter 4 very soon. I know I've been away from Rwby for a while, so I'm going to delve into them very soon. So hope you guys are having a wonderful day or wonderful night wherever you guys are. Thank you guys so much if you stuck with me till the end to this whole crazy video, and I will see you guys later in the next Rwby video. Until then, have a wonderful day or wonderful night wherever you guys are. Hope I was able to give you something new to think about, and don't worry, more theory videos to come. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I can't wait to discuss more with you, not only in the comments but also over on Discord as well. Stay safe, guys. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day or wonderful night wherever you guys are. Bye. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, please subscribe, hit that like button, and feel free to share the video, and I'll see you guys next time.